to start off this episode today, we would like to give you all a preview of what's to come next week.
Yes.
We have started our fervent reading of 107 Days by Kamala Harris. And oh my God.
Yes, folks. Hiddo Book Club is back in a big way, bigger than ever. This is bigger than Louise Penny and Hillary Clinton in State of Terror.
Huge.
This is 107 Days by Kamala Harris, and we got to give you a little preview of what you can come to expect next week, and maybe give you a preview so good that you might want to buy the episode because you guys can do that now too.
That's
early
right.
if you're if you don't want to commit to the subscription on Patreon.
Just a reminder, our full book review will be coming on Monday, and for patrons. I'm only about like 120 pages in or so, and it's already seeming like we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
I'm 177 in, and it sucks.
Yeah, and you might be able to see on camera here. We got lots of little tags and
got the shit stickies marked up.
So we have a lot to talk about here. There's a lot that's going on in this book, and there's some parts that drag, which we'll talk about as well on our Monday release. But today I wanted to talk about a couple of things that we've pulled out of the book, a couple of passages to get you ready, prime you for this review on Monday. And then also we have some clips from Rachel Maddow to start off the show with Kamala Harris talking about her book and the sort of broader democratic landscape. But today we will only, out of the book, be talking about Israel. This was something I was very interested in seeing how she would cover because, of course, it wasn't the defining issue of the campaign, but it was a major issue that was alienating her, who could be her own voters, right?
And this isn't even a comprehensive look at all of the Israel things that come up in this book, because boy, does it come up in this book, and it really just sneaks up on you.
Yeah. This is just like, I think Hamas gets a shout out on page 6 or something like that. And then the sections we're about to read come right after she made an argument that she just simply didn't have enough time to talk about climate change on the campaign trail. and then she gets into this next section. So yes, there's a lot of like pro-Israel stuff to pick out, but I want to start with a quote or a passage here on page 54. Okay. Everybody turn your text to this page. Again, this is right after Kamala Harris made the argument that, and she said this verbatim, in this short campaign, I just didn't have time, in parentheses, to talk about climate change, right? That was the point she made before. And then she gets on to a portion about her meeting with Netanyahu. She says, quote, "After the exhilaration of being with the teachers, people I greatly admired, I was heading to a meeting with Netanyahu, about whom I was more ambivalent. What I'm not ambivalent about is Israel's security."
Come on, man.
As a young girl, I carried around a little blue box for the Jewish National Fund, soliciting support to plant trees in Israel. I believe Israel was right to respond to the atrocities of October 7th, but the ferocity of Netanyahu's response, the number of innocent Palestinian women and children killed, and his failure to prioritize the lives of the hostages had weakened Israel's moral position internationally and created angry dissent within Israel itself. She says all of this sort of supposed criticism about Netanyahu, and it's in the context of having done absolutely nothing to stop him.
Yes.
Like, she writes about Israel in this book as if she was just a civilian, like observing all of this happening, rather than somebody who could have influenced policy or ran on a different policy from what Joe Biden had conducted.
So much of it is just like, yeah, that shit kind of sucked, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking crazy, man. I feel like I'm losing my mind, especially because the protesters get a shout out in this book too, in a bad way.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Sort of
because it's like the Palestine stuff, at least as far as I am in this book yet, and keep in mind, I don't have a complete picture, but I doubt that any of it's going to change considering how the first over half of the book has gone. It's either, like low-key, that shit kind of sucked though, or those protesters, am I right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you a passage from page 57. So everyone please turn your books and look.
Okay.
Quote, "For any enduring peace, we have to let go of extreme rhetoric on both sides. The war in Gaza is not a binary issue, but too often the conversation about it is. I wanted to acknowledge the complexity, nuance, and history of the region, but it seemed very few people had the appetite for that or the willingness to hold two tragic narratives in their mind at the same time. To grieve for human suffering, both Israeli and Palestinian, loud voices on either side claimed there were no innocents on the other, a position I found inhumane. And I know Secretary of State Tony Blinken, who was tirelessly hauling himself from Jerusalem to Doha to D.C., sincerely wanted to end the suffering on all sides. Right from the beginning of the campaign, protesters who thought we hadn't done enough for Gaza tried to disrupt my rallies." And then she goes on a paragraph later to say, and I quote, "Why weren't they protesting at Trump rallies?"
You're the vice president.
You're the vice president. You're in power right now.
Yes.
And the protesters recognized that Trump was not going to do shit about it. And their best chance was getting you to have a backbone.
Yeah.
When I'm reading the things about Gaza in this book, I can't help but think about the Adam Friedland interview with Richie Torres. And I can't help but think of the line specifically when he says, why can't you just be a human about this? Because I'm looking at what she's saying and it doesn't come across as human. Even when she throws out like a feckless admission that Palestinians are suffering right now and that the actions of Netanyahu and Israel are bad. It's followed up with nothing. It's followed up by no introspection on like, oh, maybe I should have supported an arms embargo. Maybe I should have put the levers of power. But no, instead she goes on to praise Joe Biden. Yeah,
and it's always preceded by the boilerplate on October 7th, Hamas committed an atrocity against, 1,200 Israelis or whatever it is. And it's like, that's factually true. And some people were sort of getting angry or frustrated at us for the little snippets I had posted on our Instagram story saying this is insane. Because like, yeah, it is true that on October 7th, Hamas did a bad thing. I condemn Hamas. But in the context of who she was and what she was doing in the Biden administration, the policies she supported, and then eventually the policies that she ran on, like, it's insane to act as though what was done on October 7th has been equal to what she has been complicit in so far. Exactly. And what she has failed to like fully denounce or recognize so far as a genocide. No serious person thinks that October 7th was good. Exactly. Like that's why we start off every fucking show with a condemnation of Hamas, because that was like the situation, that was the political environment we lived in. We're just like, oh, gotta cover our fucking bases, because it's so absurd the way that discussion is going on around this book, and she's contributing to it here. And I guess maybe we'll leave you off with this like last little bit at the bottom of page 57. That this page truly was a banger. I had it memorized. I had it burned into my fucking mind, right? This is, she says, I wrapped up that unproductive meeting with Netanyahu in under an hour and walked out to address the press. I sincerely reaffirmed my commitment to Israel's right to defend itself. I added that how Israel did that mattered. Not if you don't want to condition aid. It doesn't matter what you think about how Israel should be defending itself. If you're not willing to push the levers of power to make it defend himself in a way that you find morally permissible. And you did not do that. And there so far in 177 pages has been no admission that you should have done that. In this book, Harris's characterization of Netanyahu is, I don't like him as a person and I did nothing about it. Yep. I did nothing about it. I advocated for no change in policy. And low-key, the implication is I stand by that decision. Yeah. Like, that sucks. And that, like, protesters were bad. And why were you protesting at my rallies? Why are you disrupting me? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, It's like all of the sort of, like, smugness that... It's all the smugness that we saw on the campaign trail as this was happening, now put into... a book. Yeah. And sort of immortalized forever. And that's just a taste, right? That's just a taste of like the Israel stuff that went on in this book. There's so much more that we will talk about on Wednesday for the Wednesday Weenies. And I hope you're highly anticipating this book review, because boy, it's going to be the whole episode. And we were worried that it maybe wasn't going to be enough content for the episode, that the book was going to be kind of just banal and whatever. And it is not in like the worst way possible, dude. I know. I was sitting in that Barnes and Noble when I bought the book, just like astonished reading through the first like 50 pages or so. It's actually insane. And I will say, I don't know. I have this feeling for some reason that like I want to like Kamala Harris, Yeah. Like I really do want to, but time and time again, she shows me that she's not deserving of our praise or admiration, and certainly not a primary spot in the 2028 election. Or that she hasn't learned from what happened in those 107 days. Yeah. Like, because that's what it is, man. The Rachel Maddow interview that she did trying to promote this book on Monday night was insane. Yeah, and that's what we're about to get to now. She did this long, about like 30, 40-minute interview with Rachel Maddow, and she was asked a number of questions. A lot of it was just sort of glazy, liberal media and whatnot. But there are two parts specifically that I want to zero in on. One of them, Kamala Harris is essentially asked about, like, why are the institutions failing, essentially, to push back on Donald Trump. Apparently later in the book, she talks about how institutions are capitulating and how they're feckless right now in the face of authoritarianism. I haven't got to that yet, so I can't speak on that specifically, but that's the first clip. And then the second clip is about Zoran Mamdani. Classic. Which we'll watch in a second. But let's start with this first one. Kamala Harris talking about institutions failing us in the face of a communist dictatorship. Let's see what she has to say about this.
I am a lifelong public servant. And but I've worked closely with the private sector over many years. And I always believed that if push came to shove, those titans of industry would be guardrails.
Why?
For our democracy, for the importance of sustaining democratic institutions. And one by one, they have been silent. They have been, yes, I use the word feckless.
Completely predictable, by the way.
It's not like they're going to lose their yacht or their house in the Hamptons. And here's the thing. Democracy sustains capitalism.
Come on,
Capitalism thrives in a democracy. And right now we are dealing with, as I called him at my speech on the ellipse, a tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up.
There's so much wrong with that. First, everybody's a communist.
Everybody's
a fucking communist.
Dude.
Everybody I don't like on both sides of the aisle is just a fucking communist.
Yeah, part of me wants to write that off as like Kamala Harris having a little silly, goofy moment, as she is known to do. But her dad was a Marxist scholar.
Yeah.
I have to think that she knows better than... Donald Trump is a capitalist. He is a billionaire, and he is rewarding all of his capitalist billionaire friends right now. This is the most pro-capitalism administration ever.
Nobody cares to seriously engage with any of that. It's literally just everyone I don't like is a communist, no matter like what you are. It's like liberals have been called communists for so long, unfairly by conservatives, no matter what they do, that they just really want to get one over on and be like, actually, you're the real communist here. Oh, the government did something? You're a communist.
Exactly.
Come the fuck on, man. And it just makes everything worse for anybody who wants progress.
America is just two right-wing parties calling each other communists, dude.
Exactly.
Like, that's all it is.
And it's just like the whole titans of industry thing, too. You seriously thought that big business interests were going to defend democracy?
Yeah, why would they? All they care about is money, and that's capitalism.
Never do they ever do that. Like, never, ever. Like, Hitler collaborated with industry back in Germany during his rise to power.
Yes, yeah. They made a killing, yeah.
What's going on? These places stand to make so much money when the dictator takes over, as long as they think they're going to be in the favor of the dictator.
Yeah, it's like the liberal ideology here is like, oh, these companies won't capitulate because they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why would they not just bend the knee because that's what's going to make them the most money? All these giant corporations and these billionaires care about is lobbying the government so that they can have a better environment to accumulate more and more capital, because that's the point of capitalism. Like, the goal is to make as much money as possible. And if you put in a dictator who says, as long as you listen to me, I'll let you do whatever you want, of course they're going to listen to him. Why wouldn't they? They want to make money.
And then that ties into the whole, like, democracy.
Jesus Christ,
democracy thrives for capitalism, and capitalism thrives in, like, a democracy. It's so insane. Capitalism does not tend towards small business.
No.
Capitalism does not tend towards a bunch of small little boutique shops that go and sell their bespoke goods. Capitalism tends towards monopoly, which is antithetical to democracy. Democracy is about choice and being able to make like educated choices in who governs you and how you live your life, and that is the opposite of what capitalism wants.
Yeah.
Capitalism wants you to have to buy their thing, and that's only it. They want to constantly eat up any competition that they are until they're the only thing remaining, so that they can just make more money.
And like, that's like the best way to win in the market is to consume your opponent, and in consuming your opponent, eventually somebody becomes the monopolistic force.
Yes.
And in becoming a monopolistic force, in accumulating more and more wealth, you can use that wealth to then lobby the government so that you can accumulate more wealth. That is fundamentally undemocratic.
We have democracy as a check on capitalism through regulators in the government.
Yeah.
Without those regulators, democracy would not be fostering this small business utopia. It would be company towns.
Yeah, in fact, the only way capitalism can persist as we know it today is through government intervention to ensure it doesn't consume itself.
Yeah.
And like, and if that's not a convincing argument to you, just look at what your workplace looks like when you go into it. There's nothing democratic about your workplace, unless it's like a worker cooperative, which those are pretty rare. But when you go into the workplace, it's a complete dictatorship. You don't decide when you arrive or the pace at which you work, or sometimes you can't even decide how you use your free speech outside of work because you might get fired from your job. Your boss has total control over you. Nothing about it is democratic. And for people to get out here and say that still, and I know it's like, this is liberalism, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so annoying for people to plainly get out here and say something that's so fucking farcical at this point.
It's like capitalism is an Ouroboros. It's a snake that's constantly eating itself, and somebody needs to stop it from eating itself, or else everything goes bad for everyone else. Yeah. And that's what the government does. That's how democracy interacts with capitalism. It's kind of a negative relationship.
It's why people say FDR saved capitalism from itself. Yeah. Because without the intervention of the New Deal, without a sort of reorganization of how labor relations were in this country, it would have collapsed entirely. To get out here and make the argument today that
Yeah.
like capitalism is good and we actually need to be protecting it is fucking psychotic.
Exactly. And then just titans of industry. Like, I'll never not be stuck on this whole idea that like, oh, big businesses love it when the government doesn't favor them.
Yeah.
Are you serious? It was completely predictable that Mark Zuckerberg was going to bend the knee when Trump got elected, and bend the knee he has. And he's going out and lying for Donald Trump because he sees that he can make money in it. In fact, he has a legal, damn near could be criminal responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to his shareholders to go and do the thing that can make him the most money, or he could be sued for it.
Dog, right now the economy is like all of us just passing around the same $10.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, all the rest of the market share is AI, which is way overvalued at the moment, in part because the government's holding up the bottom of that industry. Like none of it is real. Literally none of it is real. And the people that are making the most money off of this entire process are always going to bend to the guy that said, I can make more money for you.
And it's like big business is always going to bend to the guy who says he makes more money for you. Like you said, big business is always going to suck up to whoever's in charge. They're always going to suck up to the government. Do you think when like big business was sucking up to Joe Biden, like during his year, it was because they honestly principally believed those things and they were going to be appalled when everything switched to Trump? Yeah. No, they only care about money.
Yeah, no, they hitch their wagon to the guy they think will be the best for them and the way in which they can make money. And if there's candidates that they think they can't sway or win over, people like Zohran Mamdani, they put these ugly smears out about them being anti-Semites or that the fact that they're going to like cause another 9/11 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And I think it's sort of emblematic of where a lot of libs are right now, expecting the system to just save itself because, of course, it's supposed to.
Exactly.
But this other clip, much shorter, is about Mr. Zohran Mamdani himself. And I think that we should take a moment to listen to it. I should preempt this by saying that Kamala Harris did leak her own phone call with Zohran Mamdani after this because I think she realized it was a bad look. But just really bizarre language. Again, I don't know if I should chalk this up as just like Harris being herself because she's got like goofy moments on screen.
Yeah, but
or
like
if this is like malicious.
Moments are coconut tree.
Yeah.
Like her goofy moments are funny and endearing. I have a Glock. Like that shit is funny. That shit is gas. This is just her being a politician in the worst way possible.
Yeah. So Rachel Maddow was going to ask about if she supports Zohran Mamdani, and we're going to get an interesting answer.
Arguably the fastest rising star right now in Democratic politics is Zohran Mamdani. As a sort of talent spotter in the Democratic Party, what do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race. Sure.
Interesting.
Who is this for?
Interesting verbiage there. Like, why do like a half endorsement? Like, you can't please both crowds here, and that's so obviously what she's trying to do. She's trying to like kind of half give an endorsement without saying his name, but also not give an endorsement so as to not upset the people that gave her $1 billion in her campaign.
Yeah, no, that's all it is. Yeah.
Like, are you serious right now? And then, like you said, she goes and leaks her own phone call with Zohran, saying, "Oh yeah, I like you. Like, just be careful out there."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and what I saw, the headline I saw is that Harris called Zohran to say like to offer her support, but also say that we don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I obviously nobody agrees with somebody else on every. That's not what an endorsement is. An endorsement is saying like I want this person to win. Yeah. I am behind this candidate officially. It's a way of offering public support to somebody in the hopes that people that like you might go on and vote for them.
Why is it so hard for politicians to separate themselves from like sex pests in their own party? We got Cuomo and we got Trump.
Yeah,
and nobody's willing to like separate themselves from them. It's absurd. Why is it like hard to say no? I support Zohran over Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. And the funny part about the clip, which is something that I didn't play because I cut it out because she sort of goes on a little bit of a rant. She starts bringing up other sort of rising stars in the Democratic Party, highlighting a couple of races that I think are in the South. And she highlights one candidate specifically that just lost a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, we should support Democrats that are running in places that are hard to win, of course. But why can't you answer the simple question of, do you support the guy who is literally probably like the most popular guy in the party right now? And why don't other people support him? Like, why is that so hard to answer?
Yeah.
Yes, there's other talent that we should pay attention to. Zohran Mamdani is not the only guy in the party that needs attention. But why is it dividing the party so badly? And why can't you, as someone who's just running for president on the same party ticket, why can't you endorse him and get behind him?
Well, it's especially egregious, right? Because the question, as framed by Rachel Maddow, was about rising stars in the party. Zohran
which is something she writes about in the book, by the way.
Exactly. Zohran is a rising star in the party, and she pivots to talk about other people who, frankly, like are not rising stars.
Yeah.
Like, Zohran is a rising star because everyone is talking about him. That's kind of what it is. Yes, you can go highlight other people that you think should be rising stars, but like if you lose an election, I'm sorry, that's not you.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. Those people could be great people. They could be doing great things, and I'd probably like them at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're not doing what Zoran's doing. And part of why Zoran is a rising star isn't just because he's a Democrat that's running in Mobile, Alabama, like somebody she highlighted. It's because he's running as an out Democratic socialist against Andrew Cuomo in New York City.
Yeah. And he went from like 2% in polling to now tying Cuomo in Staten Island.
Like Zoran is a rising star, not even just because he's like doing the thing. It's because of like who he is and what this race represents.
Yeah.
This race literally represents like the battle for the party's future.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are talking about him. And by pivoting the conversation to these other people, you're just refusing to engage with that. And I can't respect that.
No, I can't respect it at all, man. It's just it's a fucking shame.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. And I hope, and again, it's clear in this book that she's setting up a run for 2028.
Yeah, there are moments
We'll
where
talk about that
it
more on
feels like
Monday.
she's campaigning at me. And if you want to know what those are before everybody else, Patreon.com/sendtheoffice.
Yeah, go to the Patreon. But Jesus, man, this is just a bad indication for the future. Sheesh. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Thursday, September 25th, and we're back bringing you more Hito.
Yes, we are. We've been hard at work reading Kamala Harris' book, and we've been hard at work reading the news so that we can deliver your regularly scheduled programming on this Thursday.
And boy, was there news to read today?
Yes, there was.
We got government shutdown news. Government shutdown is Laura looming, and we got to be talking about that. There was also a shooting at an ICE facility, which is precisely how it's been covered. But it was detainees that were shot.
Yes, the coverage has been actually insane. Like, yes, it was at an ICE facility.
Literally.
Yes, that is significant. More on this later. But like, let's focus on the detainee that's dead because of an act of political violence, which I condemn. Yeah,
of course I condemn political violence. And we got some other stuff in here too. And we got one news story specifically, kind of just an extra.
This is for us.
A recurring character in the Hito canon, Ryan Walters.
Oh, man.
So stay tuned, Oklahoma heads, for that one. But before we get into that, of course, I will remind you to become a patron. Patrons are going to be getting early access to our book review coming on Monday. Yes. And if being a patron, subscribing monthly is too much for you, you can always just buy a post if you want.
It's
$3.
cheaper than any of the individual monthly subscriptions.
That's right. It's $3 to buy early access to just one individual post. So that's over there as well. Patreon.com/headintheofficepod. You can also follow us on all the socials. Mm-hmm. It's down there in the description. Who knows how long TikTok will last?
I would highly suggest you follow us on the other places. One, you're not just monopolizing your support onto TikTok and listening to the show, but two, because we post other tidbits that couldn't make it onto the podcast because it's not what the medium is.
Yeah, much in the same way that you never want to over leverage on one client. You don't want to over leverage on following Hito on just one social media platform.
No.
Because then you'll miss important things, especially if that social media platform gets evaporated by the government.
Exactly. And I mean, the Kamala Harris book review coming out on October 1st was announced on Twitter.
Big on that. Heavy on this.
You wouldn't even known that as soon as everybody else if you weren't following us on there, which I know you're not because we only have like 1,600 followers.
That's right. Also, you can leave us a review.
Please.
And nobody wanted to on Apple.
That's fucked up. So Spotify, you're getting moved up to the top.
That's right.
You're getting promoted temporarily for now. This first one.
Second stringer, we need you to fill in. Next man up.
Exactly. Marcus Davenport's injured, so we need you to hop in here. This first one from Sophia, by Sophia, 5 out of 5 stars. First off, my 500 characters is going to condemning all violence, especially political violence. As a European trans girly, this pod is one of the few points in the Western political sphere where I fear I'm not going insane by how bad the world ignores trans people. Noticing how European politics usually follow U.S. trends is really scary right now, and at least these boys show that rational thought exists. I'll end by condemning all violence. Love from the Netherlands, Sophia.
Hell yeah. This next one from Wesley, 5 out of 5, that did surgery on a grape.
True.
Watch out for this one. I'll also read this next one here from Ross. Before listening to these two, I wasn't sure what to make of Hamas or political violence. Now, in an almost impossible feat, my support for Hamas and all forms of political violence, zero support, total condemnation.
Hell yeah, huge on this, especially in this political climate.
Is even lower than Pete Buttigieg's support from black voters.
Let's go.
These two are your best bet for correct, insightful takes on the twists and turns we are certain to encounter in Kamala Harris's new book. 5 out of 5 stars, highly recommend. This is a tuned in listener. That was multiple deep layered Hito references in that review. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful one. This next one from Ithorvar 13, 5 out of 5 stars. I condemn Hamas, Tyler Robinson, and all other political violence.
Real.
I also condemn the Democratic Party as they turn red and capitulate to the right instead of Democrats and progressives. Living in a Midwest city that is blue in a certain crappy red state in Indiana?
IN, I guess.
Yeah. Is that Indiana?
Who knows?
Guys, I'm real bad at these 2-letter codes. Yeah. Y'all make it a bit better. P.S. I was living in Michigan and I miss a goated governor who was in the president's pocket.
Shout out Gretchen Whitmer. Thank you all for leaving those reviews. One other thing I will remind you all of is we've got 2 events upcoming. Links will be down there in the description for the event that we have on October 4th at 2 p.m. at the Southfield Public Library. Yeah, and then we'll also be giving a talk at Wayne State University on October 18th for the Michigan Sociological Association Conference. Registration's required for that second one. First one, you can just show up if you want.
It's pretty cool.
Both the first one's a free event at the library. Second one is paid, but it's the conference as a whole that's a sort of paid
So you'll
event.
be supporting the Michigan Sociological Association if you show up.
That's right.
And
that's right.
your 2 favorite white boys by being there.
Exactly. So if you're interested in either of those, make your plans.
Yep.
Make your plans. Anyways, let's get into the news here, starting off with government butt down.
Government butt down. Everything sucks. Nothing is good. I'm kind of sick of it.
Yeah, it's real bad. So we'll cover like the details of the shutdown, although there's not much. It's basically just Republicans saying, nah.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about when it comes to shutdown. I got one little bit in here about health insurance because I've learned that that's a very important conversation considering the timing of this shutdown. But it's just like, man, we were talking off the record, off the show about how it's like, it's never been so easy to comment on politics right now if it wasn't for the absolute just fire hose of information that's constantly coming through. Any of these individual stories, they'd have made the whole episode in the weeks before the Trump regime.
The Tylenol thing, yeah.
But now it's just like there's so much, and there's so much that we're missing, and there's so much going on that it's hard. It's hard by volume.
The whole like Tylenol autism story is an addendum on this week's show just because it's like obviously false, but also like why are we blaming women for autism? Because that's what it amounts to, right? Anyways, government shutdown is Laura looming. So on October 1st, the government will shut down if no budget has passed, meaning lots of furloughed workers, lots of interruptions to government services. I don't think Biden ever had a government shutdown, did he?
I don't know. If he did, it was short.
It got very close a couple of times. I'm not sure the last time we had a government shutdown. I know we had at least one under Donald Trump.
We had the longest one ever under Trump, didn't we?
Yeah, and it seems we are heading in that direction again. Essentially, Republicans have refused to negotiate here with Mike Johnson pushing for a quote-unquote clean bill, which, if you've been a longtime listener, you know that just means maintaining current funding levels and not changing anything from the previous budget. From Politico, quote, it's Republicans who are pushing a clean 7-week continuing resolution, which they say will buy time for more negotiations on full-year spending bills and possibly an extension of expiring health insurance subsidies. Democrats, meanwhile, wrote an alternative four-week punt that tacks on a laundry list of other demands, including a permanent extension of insurance subsidies. Essentially, what's happening here is Democrats have, in some ways, conceded the fact that this budget's going to suck, but they've attached a couple of good things. And to their credit, they've actually chosen issues to talk about rather than just like the sacred halls.
Which is such a, honestly, change from what they were doing before.
They've honed in on healthcare insurance, or just like healthcare broadly, Medicaid cuts and stuff like that, as the sort of negotiating piece for their role in the budgeting process here. Republicans have just said, fuck off, we don't need you, which they do in the Senate.
Which was funny because Trump was on Fox News, 2 weeks ago saying, oh, we'll pass a continuing resolution. We only need 50 votes for that.
Yeah.
Man, how are you the president and don't know?
Yeah.
How are you the president and you don't know that this isn't budget reconciliation? Come on, dude.
Trump recently canceled a meeting scheduled for this past Tuesday between Jeffrey Schumer and himself. And we'll get into a moment how Jeffries and Schumer responded. Uninspiring.
Incredibly.
To say the least.
What else would we expect from those two?
Yeah.
They're probably the worst messengers in the party.
Yeah, it's not great. It seems like for this budget debacle that we're in, it seems like Republicans think Democrats will get blamed. Democrats think Republicans will get blamed. And I do think the way that Kamala Harris in the Rachel Maddow interview framed it was pretty good. It's not Democrats that are shutting down the government. It'll be the fault of Republicans.
Oh, yeah, no.
Democrats just want to get the healthcare subsidies back.
That was the best part of that interview.
Yeah,
that was the one thing. It does deserve to be be highlighted because that's the way that the party should go. And that's kind of what sparked that conversation that we were having about how like it's the easiest it's ever been to do political commentary because things are so obviously bad.
But part of the issue right now is like, yeah, that's good framing. That's what we should be doing. But part of the issue is that we so obviously don't have a leader of the party or even like a collection of leaders of the party because Schumer and Jeffries are jokes in their position right now. I was listening to a Pod Save America interview with Elizabeth Warren, and she was asked like, we don't have leadership right now. How do you feel about the current leadership given the budget debacle, us heading towards a shutdown? And she essentially said, oh, well, anybody can get into the political fray and make an argument. And she pointed to one of the Johns and was like, you could make the argument. And it's like, well, that's not good.
It's a problem that podcasters have to make the argument for
exactly.
you. Like, that's not how things should function. I think the people we elect to lead should be able to go out there and lead and actually deliver a message that resonates with people. And it shouldn't have to be up to the pod Johns to do so.
Yeah, like
kind of fucked.
Obviously, the pod Johns are gonna be making the argument as they continue to engage in politics. But it would be nice if our political leaders could do anything. You know what I mean?
And it really is just do anything at this point.
Yeah. So from Jeffries and Schumer, they both had some words for Trump after Trump canceled this meeting that was supposed to take place.
They were real hyped about this meeting.
I have 2 tweets from Jeffries, and then I have a clip from Chuck Schumer. They're out here. I think these guys should not be allowed to do politics because their rhetoric is just too fiery.
I think
it is encouraging violence. It's too far.
They're so good at messaging. They're so good at riling me up.
Yeah.
Getting to my heart and mind and my spirit. Rousing my spirit is what these guys do.
Yeah. So Hakeem Jeffrey said, Trump always chickens out. Donald Trump just canceled a high-stakes meeting in the Oval Office between myself and Leader Schumer. The extremists want to shut down the government because they are unwilling to address the Republican healthcare crisis that is devastating America. That's Jeffrey's first quote, and I got another one here from him as well.
Okay.
Jeffrey said, again, this is the second tweet, Donald Trump has never used my name during his presidency. Now he's afraid to meet to discuss the Republican healthcare crisis and pending government shutdown. Why is that? Sincerely, Hakeem Saku Jeffries.
Come on, man. That's so fucking lame.
He said they're afraid of me.
And it's like I guess I'll give him props in the first tweet for going out there and say like doing the healthcare crisis framing.
Yeah.
Because that's good. That's a step forward. That's what he should be doing. But like maybe I'm biased, but it feels like too little, too late. And also maybe I'm biased because starting it out with Taco Trump is just like you're negatively polarizing me against your message.
Exactly.
When you do that. And the Taco Trump thing, when it comes to these two especially, is it's like you thought Schumer ate with that and now you're going. Yeah, like that's all it is. It's corny that you two are referencing each other.
Now I have a very short clip from Chuck Schumer here where he was doing a much longer press conference, but it was full of stuff like this. So prepare yourself because this one, again, fiery rhetoric. Okay. It's going to get you absolutely riled up.
We know Donald Trump watches a lot of television. Mr. President, if you're watching television, shut it off and come sit down and negotiate with us.
We know Trump watches a lot of TV. If you're watching TV, brother, just roll with it. Just roll with it. You already established that he watches TV. Just keep going with the idea that he's watching this right now, dude. Come on. Like why are you undermining yourself already before you even made the point?
Yeah, no, these are the people leading the party that's supposed to be the opposition. Man.
It's like part of this is like consultancy is a disease. Part of this is old Democrats are a disease. But like shit like this makes me think, maybe they do need consultants. Maybe they do need to consult with somebody about how to fucking talk.
Hakeem Jeffries isn't even that old. I think it's just like the brain rot of being so close to the establishment for so long.
Well, it's kind of like with like the Kamala Harris stuff in the beginning. Like you said, like her dad was a Marxist scholar, correct?
Yes.
And then she's doing the communism thing. I think this is just what too much Biden does to a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's Biden. It's like the fucking
It's
chronic Bidenism. Yeah, I almost said Bidenomics. Bidenflation, Bidenomics.
Yeah, radical Bidenism. Undermine yourself in the middle of your point. Go out there and not say anything. Fumble talking to the camera. This is Biden coded. The Democratic Party is just Biden coded.
I know the Democrats and like the deep state, if you will, spent the last of its energy trying to convince the public that Biden wasn't old.
Yes.
And now all of the Democrats are falling victim to Bidenisms.
And it's just like, did you see the Chuck Schumer clip where I don't know who he was talking to, but he was saying like, oh yeah, Democratic approval's low, but like so is Republican.
Oh my God,
but
I forgot about
Republican
that one.
approval is also like really low too right now, so maybe it's not so bad. And he said like, look at like before the election, like we overperformed in the swing states or some shit like that. And it's like, look at before the problem as a refute to the current problem that's happening right now. Like the problem of Democratic approval being in the shitter, being in absolute hell, is a problem after the election because you're not doing anything. You can't point to before the election when like you still weren't doing anything, but it was a little bit better because we were actively under like a fascist.
And the important point about that quote is it's in the context of Chuck Schumer again reiterating his plan to do nothing to make Trump more unpopular and just let the unpopularity happen on its own.
Like, oh yeah, we're unpopular, so are they. Nobody likes us, well, nobody likes them either.
Like, his articulated plan has been just let Trump do whatever he wants, and that will eventually make him unpopular, and we will win by default. And again, it's like, can't catch a vibe, you cannot spin a narrative, and this is why shit sucks so badly.
And this is also why nobody likes you. Because you're admitting you're not to be liked. You're not going on and saying, oh no, we're trying to do these things, we recognize that people don't like us, there's a messaging error, blah, blah, blah. You're saying, oh yeah, you don't like us? Well, don't like them either.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do anything.
It's Chuck Schumer out here, man, fucking balling. Absolutely balling.
Yeah, country on the line. Dude can't just lock in.
Yeah.
None of them can lock in, and it fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
It sucks so bad. And it's like, when we're talking about like a shutdown, a lot of this is like we think that Republicans think Democrats are to blame, Democrats think Republicans are to blame. I do think that the Republicans are scared of being blamed for this, just like how earlier in the year they were scared of being blamed for the shutdown, so much so that they were saying it behind closed doors, and J.D. Vance was meeting with people trying to direct them to avoid a shutdown because they thought they were going to be blamed for it. And what makes me think that they're scared of this shutdown is that now, in sort of a gross attempt to force the Democrats to pass the budget, Wednesday night, Trump's OMB threatened to fire government workers if there is a shutdown. The reported reduction in workforce would not only lay off employees, but just completely eliminate their positions.
Yeah, okay, so he's trying to hold a hostage.
So not only are we getting like furlough of government employees when like this is not normal. When a government shutdown happens, government employees are furloughed, they don't come to work, and then when they come back to work, they're given back pay. Trump wants to use this as an excuse to hold government employees hostage, and if there is a shutdown, to fire them. Just completely fire them, totally. No more job, no more livelihood, no more putting fucking meals on the table for your family.
Yeah.
And that's gross.
And that would be terrible, but you also have to remember that like Trump's anything that Trump wants to do has to be carried out by workers at the ground level at some point, right? Like there's different like levels of bureaucracy, all of which the Trump administration depends on to actually carry out their shit. And of course, he's not going to be firing like ICE agents.
Of course not. Yeah.
Like that stuff's going to persist. We're still going to have National Guard in America's cities and stuff like that. Although I don't know that they can be paid during a federal shutdown. I'm not sure on that. But the point is, like, he's been doing bad shit. Law does not exist. Call his bluff.
Well, this is explicitly like an excuse that he's going to try to have to get rid of like people who do Gay Sesame Street. You know what I mean?
Well, there was a headline recently that he just hired a bunch of people back that Doge fired again.
He had to. Yeah, he had to again. And that's crazy. And it's like he just wants to get rid of people that he thinks are doing woke things with like other governments or giving aid to, not South Africa. He wants to give aid to South Africa because genocide. Or no, is it hold off aid? I don't even fucking know.
He wants to give aid to the white South Africans and not the black South Africans.
Of course. So, like the historically oppressed white South Africans. That's who we need to focus on. But no other country ever can get any aid because specifically the OMB said agencies should consider a reduction in force for federal programs whose funding would lapse next week is not otherwise funded and is, quote, not consistent with the president's priorities. He just wants to get rid of the woke stuff. This is just going to be get rid of the guy who approves the check to go to HBCUs.
I don't even know if it's the woke stuff. I think it's just like the banal, like necessary things that government does.
This is true. It's
like the
woke
base
stuff,
functions.
and it's just making government run worse in that tried and true conservative method of breaking the government to tell you that the government is broken.
It's like the person that answers calls at the Social Security Administration will lose their job. Because there's, I don't know, too many of them, or they were hired under DEI programs.
Yeah, that's how they're going to get their Social Security cuts in here without actually cutting Social Security. They'll just get rid of field offices, just like how they were doing under Doge.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to be dramatic, but like Nazis didn't get rid of the Constitution; they just made it irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like why destroy liberalism when you can just make it sit in the cuck chair?
And while we're speaking of the Constitution, and while I sillily think of an appeal to the Constitution, and
can they
Democratic
do this?
Can they even do this? This is just an excuse so that Trump can get rid of budgetary items that he didn't want before without the approval of Congress. Like that's what this is. It's one, put pressure on Democrats because he wants to enjoy he wants to avoid the negative politics of a shutdown, and also just be able to do the unconstitutional thing of directing the budget without being a part of Congress.
Yeah, and that's what worries me is like Schumer in the clip we played last week or on Monday, he refused to commit to the idea that Democrats would vote down a government budget and then it cause a shutdown. And that's what worries me here is like I'm glad they're honing in on healthcare. I'm glad they're at least threatening it, but you got to be willing to go through on the threat for it to mean anything. And I'm worried that they're just going to capitulate in the end and just fund his government, and Trump's going to, get the layup easily.
Especially with this, especially with the idea that he's just going to fire massive swaths of the government. I can see Democrats caving under that pressure. And even I was starting to think oh, maybe I shouldn't advocate for a shutdown if people's jobs are on the line. But these jobs are on the line anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Trump wants to fire these people. He's going to find a way to fire these people. This is just a way that he can conveniently blame it on Democrats, kind of. And that's what it is. And I think that's where the analysis should lie. Because if he's going to fire them, if he wants to do this massive elimination of positions, one, he already showed us that he wanted to do that. He's going to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. That's where we are with this. And that sucks bigly. And the Democrats should be talking about that.
Yeah, and the Democrats should get out ahead and say, that he does not need to fire these people. He is doing this on his own accord. Nothing about a government shutdown requires him to fire all of these extra people in addition to those that are getting furloughed right now.
And it's part of why they're in such a shitty position with this shutdown is because they refused to shut it down prior.
Yes.
They refused to shut it down before. We did not have to have the big, beautiful bill. We could have not had that. They could have shut down the government to stop so much from happening. We would not have ICE offering $50,000 recruitment bonuses and willing to pay off the college debt of new recruits if the Democrats are willing to shut down the government.
Yeah, and I do notice how the ICE funding is not even on the table for shit that should be clawed back. I wonder if a Democrat wins in 2028, fucking Gavin Newsom or whatever. I feel like the ICE funding is gonna just stay at the levels that it's at.
Yeah,
that sucks, man.
There's going to be a whole lot of signaling about how we need to restore democratic norms and blah, 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 but they're going to conveniently leave in all of the things that were kind of escalations of government power, things that the government could do and get away with that they wouldn't have been able to before, and just kind of let that slide while they restore gay Sesame Street, you know?
Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, was hired first under Barack Obama.
Yeah,
ICE funding continued to climb under presidents like Barack Obama and Joe Biden.
We kept the Patriot Act around.
We kept it. Yeah, exactly.
There's never really a moment where the government cedes power that they took that they weren't supposed to. You know what I mean?
Regardless of party.
Democrats will use what conservatives do unjustly to their advantage once the negative PR is away from it.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where government is. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm not a big fan of the government.
I'm not a big fan of the government.
I hate commercials.
Me too.
I hate listening to them. I hate when I hear them, whether it's on TV or on podcasts.
Grr, I just can't stand commercials.
They're the worst. And the one place you can go to avoid commercials like this one you're listening to right now is patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Become a patron and you get early access to our episodes, and they're all completely commercial free. No more interruptions.
And you could be one of our friends.
And that's arguably the more important point.
And, in trying times like this, friendship is what we really need.
Friendship's really important. And you can buy your way into being a friend of ours by heading over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Again, early access to episodes, no commercials, access to all of our content before anyone else sees it. Become a patron.
While they focus on healthcare, I think it's important and I think it's good, but it's also just not enough. And I hate being that guy because people are trying to criticize us for being that guy that oh my God, dude, you should take it. And I don't understand it because it's good that he's focusing on healthcare, especially right now for reasons I'm going to get into in a moment. But it's not enough for the moment. We're so past just basically focusing on healthcare. This dude sucks. This dude's government is sucked. You should be signaling a government shutdown as a positive thing because the government should not be working in the ways that it's working right now.
I think ICE has lost 70% of the immigrants that were at Alligator Alcatraz. They've just disappeared.
Yeah,
since
they
July.
lost 1,200 people that the Miami Herald just can't find right now.
Do some critical thinking, listener, and tell me, where do you think they just went? Right? Are they alive? Who knows?
Some of these people, I was reading this article this morning. Some of these people may have been deported unjustly. Some of them were deported unjustly. Some of them are just unaccounted for.
Yeah.
What do you mean they're unaccounted for? And this has to do with it being a state facility versus a federal facility. So reporting requirements are different and reporting is public or not public or whatever. But it's just this. an effort like this should be completely and totally accountable to the Republic and completely and totally transparent. They are saying that they are the most transparent government in history, and it does not look like that when you lose 1,200 people in your most aesthetically brutal detention center.
Yeah, and like they just held a state funeral for a conservative podcaster where Trump said, "I hate my enemies."
Yeah.
And Stephen Miller just like did a Nazi speech.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but we are way past like we just need the healthcare subsidies back. And again, like I think we need the healthcare subsidies back. I think we need to go even further to the left in terms of our healthcare plan. But why aren't we making it like a slate of issues that we're demanding need to change in order for us to fund this government?
Yeah.
Like that seems easy to do, right? Like pick 3 things. No more National Guard in our cities, no more taking citizens and immigrants off of the streets, so like claw back the ICE funding, and then the healthcare stuff. That feels easy and articulable and gets across to a broad range of constituents.
Especially because those things are unpopular.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. Are Democrats just too stuck on the idea that like people want immigration reform, so they need to just capitulate to what Republicans do because they want on it?
And I keep coming back to the idea that like Democrats low-key fuck with what's happening on immigration.
Kinda,
like,
yeah.
I think a lot of them just either don't care or they're like, yeah, that's good. Because they fully bought into this idea that they just need to be harder on the border, or maybe they genuinely feel like, you know, immigrants are a problem in the same way that right-wingers do. I don't know.
Ultimately, it's the kids in cages versus overflow facility distinction. It's maybe we'll fucking see that going on. Like you said, President Newsom's probably not going to get rid of the ICE funding.
Yeah.
We don't know. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I hope I eat my words on that one, sincerely. But like, who knows? And this is why it's like, it's pissing. Just a brief aside.
Yeah.
When we posted the quote from the Kamala Harris book about bipartisanship, more on this on Monday when we do the book review, we got some heat for that.
Oh my God, dude, we're getting more heat for our criticism of Kamala Harris than we did during the election.
And like specifically for saying that like, oh, it's stupid and corny that she's talking about yearning for bipartisanship. Because like it is. And it's not corny to like, I fucking yearn for a time where our senators and our elected representatives can actually fucking get things done. Because no matter what, you're gonna have to reach across the aisle to get something done. You got to get 60 votes in the Senate for anything except budget reconciliation, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like yearn for it in the way that like I want cooperation with the current Republican Party. I want another party that like has reasonable people in it. That's not what we have right now. These guys are breaking democracy. The Republicans right now don't deserve bipartisanship because they are proving themselves to not be good faith actors in a democracy. They wouldn't do bipartisanship with you. They've actively shut you out since Obama.
Yeah, well, and bipartisanship with the Republicans, and this has been the case for decades, just means like you just give us what we want.
Yeah.
And also the question in a vacuum is like bipartisanship to what end?
And it's just like I want things to get done with the government. I want a functioning government. Saying I want bipartisanship is probably wrong too, because it's like, yes, compromise is an important part of democracy. Yes, compromise is good and healthy and whatever. But as somebody who believes in things, I want those things fully.
Yeah. Like the moral answer to whatever policy issue is not in between the two parties.
Yeah, exactly.
It never is.
like if I go out there and I genuinely believe that ICE should be 100% defunded, I'm not going to be happy with like a half reduction in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be happy that we came to a bipartisan solution. I'm going to be the fucking gadfly that nags because
like,
I should be, because it's what I believe.
Most fucking like voters, Republicans and Democrats, don't want bipartisan solutions. Like they'll say that they do because bipartisanship sounds like a good word that people should enjoy.
Nobody wants bipartisan solutions. They want things done. They want the government to do shit.
When you get to like the actual policies themselves, they want things like a $15 minimum wage, or like so many people want universal health care. None of those are bipartisan solutions. They're either actively partisan or outside the purview of the two parties.
Like nobody seriously yearns for compromise. I yearn for not getting fully what I want. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Like as an adult, you recognize that compromise is healthy and good and happens and is a part of the process. But as somebody who believes in things, you should believe in them.
Yeah. And it's just like to yearn for bipartisanship is like a first principle. like bipartisanship is in itself good because it means that we're compromising. I don't know, man. The Iraq War was a compromise, or it was a bipartisan effort, and I think that was terrible.
Yeah.
So,
and you should Israel be out there, like as a person with power, thinking that those things are terrible.
Funding for Israel is a bipartisan issue, and I think that fucking sucks. Yeah. In part because it's bipartisan. Like, I don't know, man. Whatever.
Sometimes compromises our morals.
Yeah.
Shit.
Big on
Monastic wisdom
Big
right
on
there.
that,
What
man.
can I say, man?
Holy moly.
It's fucked up. But back to the government shutdown, back to the focus on healthcare. I do
yeah.
think this shutdown fight is particularly important, specifically for millions of Americans, because it will determine whether or not their healthcare premiums skyrocket for those enrolled in plans through the ACA marketplace.
Yeah, and we should say, like, just to establish this connection again, right? Many people are not on Medicaid. Medicaid, very important for like a quarter of the population.
Yep.
Many people, though, not on Medicaid, maybe didn't get their healthcare through the ACA marketplace. Okay, fine. However, when Medicaid is gone, when hospitals have less government funding coming to them through their patients, they will increase the costs on people with private insurance. Boom. You see how that hits you immediately?
That's crazy.
Hits
It's
you
gonna
right
affect
away.
Everybody. Wow. I may not be on Medicaid. One, I want people to have Medicaid because I'm a good person.
Yes.
And two, I want people to have Medicaid because it keeps my insurance lower.
Yep.
And that's self-serving. And
Fully
cool.
self-serving. Fully self-serving.
Like, there are self-serving ways to arrive at good things, and there are like good ways to arrive at them. You can do both.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing here. But it's also like, bottom line, if Republicans don't agree to extend what was the enhanced ACA tax credits, enrollees will see their out-of-pocket premiums increase 75% on average on November 1st when open enrollment starts. A 75% increase to your health insurance premiums is untenable.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of money,
so
man.
much fucking money. That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, your shit's almost doubling.
And it's like the longer this takes to get resolved, if Republicans choose to resolve it, the more people will see just an eye-popping bill and will decide to not just not get coverage for 2026.
You've created 1 million Luigi Mangione.
Oh my God, dude. And it's like, even if this does get fixed, right? Even if this does get fixed, people will inevitably fall through the cracks. There are some states that are going and saying, like, in the possibility of a shutdown and the possibility of not extending the ACA tax credit, that we're going to have two premium options. One for if the credits don't get extended, one for if they do get extended, whichever one will apply. But that's not every state, and that's not everybody. The important part of here is that, like, the government is playing games with your healthcare. Republicans are stopping you, if you're on an ACA plan, from getting healthcare at a more affordable cost. Republicans are going to make your healthcare more expensive when they didn't have to.
All under the guise that, like, there's 23-year-old men playing video games and they're on Medicaid and they don't want to work.
Exactly.
When that's just untrue, like statistically untrue.
Which is funny because the ACA marketplace enhanced tax credits that they chose to let expire in the big beautiful bill have nothing to do with Medicaid.
Oh, cool.
They're just separate. Like, it's just another thing. I think it was through Medicaid the ACA extended Medicaid. The ACA gave Medicare expansion states, but ACA tax credits, I believe, are separate from Medicaid. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Complicated.
Either way, it's like a separate issue in what's going on here. You can extend the ACA tax credits without extending Medicaid and vice versa. They're separate things in policy as long as... It's fucking stupid, and Republicans are making your healthcare more expensive.
Just for fun.
Just cause.
Yeah, just because they hate you,
Just cause. It would cost $35 billion to extend the subsidies. That's not a lot relative to how much the federal government has.
Relative to the ICE budget
oh my God,
of $150
ICE has more
billion.
money than the fucking IDF.
Yeah.
And you're telling me we can't get healthcare?
That feels anti-Semitic.
You're telling me families who are too poor to get, like, other healthcare have to be more poor because they're stuck on the ACA plan?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people that are stuck in this weird gray area where it's like they were poor enough to qualify for an ACA marketplace plan.
Yep.
And they won't have enough money after their plan skyrockets on average 75% to just take the leap and upgrade to whatever private insurer that their employer offered or that they could get access to.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be forced to pay the 75% extra and eat that budget shortfall in their personal wallets.
It's rare that you can just draw a direct line between, like, a government policy and the way in which people will be hurt.
Yeah.
Like, so many times when we talk about policy, it's like there's a diffusion that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's very complicated, the way in which government policy will interact with different economic issues. But this is just like one-to-one. Like, government doesn't subsidize this anymore. Your healthcare costs are going up for fun.
And it's also like, considering the timing of this, usually it's not so immediate. Like,
yeah, like right away.
Like, literally November 1st, when you log in to re-up your plan, you're fucked, buddy. That's it. And it's Mike Johnson's fault.
Yeah.
Because the plan that Mike Johnson wants to pass is a 7-week continuing resolution. That means they won't do a new budget until, what is it, like almost the end of November. You'd have to just wait to get your premiums. I believe you have to get premiums by mid-December for coverage in 2026.
Yeah.
Like, you have to pay or you have to enroll in your new plan. Like, you're cutting it real tight for a lot of people who are already living paycheck to paycheck.
Enjoy limbo, big dog.
But conservatives don't give a shit about people living paycheck to paycheck like they claim to do.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, and it's bad, and everything's bad, and they should give the Democrats what they want.
There's just, like, there's no explanation for it. You could take, like, less than 0.5% of the Department of War budget, and you could give it to this, and that would cover it.
Man, the DOW doesn't even sound as cool as the DOD.
No, DOD
it
is so much
does
cooler.
not roll off the tongue like the DOD does.
Yeah.
Might have to dead name that shit like Twitter.
Yeah, real. Well, I was thinking in my head, like, what is that called now? And then I remembered it was Department of War.
Yeah.
But yeah, $1 trillion
Stupid as hell.
budget for Pete Kegseth. That's fun.
Yeah, and apparently a bunch of generals are meeting now or whatever. Who knows, man? He's probably just getting all the generals together to say, like, no more non-straight white males in the military. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, recruitment crisis, but let's cut out all the non-straight white males.
Exactly. That'll make it a more inclusive environment for straight white males, a notoriously not included group.
That's right. That's right. Anyways, is that budget news?
I think that's budget news. And moving on to political violence news.
Oh,
Starting
big on
off
that.
this segment.
Once a week, baby.
Once a week, man. It sucks out here. Once again, I unequivocally condemn political violence. That shit sucks, and I'm low-key scared. I don't like living through history.
Yeah, no, it's rough, but like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, living through like the moments that are getting put in the history book sucks, dude. And it's like I feel like they've just been in rapid succession since the pandemic.
Yeah, no, it's really bad, and it seems like the right wing has ramped up their efforts to like label any instance of any kind of political violence as Democrat extremism.
Yep.
We're all being labeled members of Antifa, and that's apparently a terrorist organization. I think Stephen Miller said something like the Democratic Party is a domestic terror group or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is like, man, obviously I condemn political violence, but like if the Democrats were anywhere near as extreme as the Republicans paint them out to be, we'd have a communist utopia already.
Oh, yeah, and we'd win elections.
Yeah, we'd win landslide elections.
Honestly, just a hint more of extremism, which isn't anything considering where the party is right now. Very moderate.
Dude,
very moderate. We're having all these fucking conversations about moderating when they exist basically in the middle.
Yeah.
Any more extremism just gets them a little progressive. It doesn't even have to be genuine extremism, just pushing them a little bit more to the left.
Oh my God, dude! And they're considering putting like Charlie Kirk on coins. Like I can't. Let's just move on. I can't say anything about that.
Moving on from that political violence to go to this political violence. That being said, Wednesday morning, there was a shooting at an ICE facility in Texas that left one ICE detainee dead and 2 injured before the shooter killed himself. Notably, no ICE officers were shot. Like,
yes.
It didn't happen. No law enforcement was harmed. Blah, blah, blah. Responsible outlets aren't jumping to conclusions about the shooter's possible motive, but that does not stop our irresponsible government from immediately blaming the left, namely Kash Patel, this administration's podcaster-in-chief in just more ways than one, who also just happens to be the FBI director. This guy, as soon as he could, Kash Patel took to Twitter to post an image of a bullet that they found on the ground near the shooter that had, quote, anti-ICE written on it.
Oh my God.
And like, I'll be the first to say, like, I'll be the first to get out there and admit, like, that's damning, like, by itself.
It was an unspent bullet too. It was like
it
a
was
round
a
of 5.
Yeah, it was a stripper clip.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll be the first to admit, that is damning. You know what I'm saying? A bullet that says anti-ICE on a shooting on an ICE detention facility. Yeah, sure, it looks like the left. But I'll also be the first to admit that this information should not be coming out without a proper investigation. And this information should not be coming out, like, without context.
Well, and I just,
you don't
like,
need to post about everything.
On its face, it's just like, I don't believe, like, this isn't real. Like, on its, I can't accept this when we know that Kash Patel got things repeatedly wrong with the Charlie Kirk thing, and we know this administration will just straight up lie about whatever they want. Like, out of context, I'm just not going to buy it.
I believe DHS also got the facts of the case wrong because everybody's a fucking poster in this government and said that 2 detainees were dead when that's not the case, and they had to revise that statement. So it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Kash Patel is a podcaster, so his first instinct is to post, and I get it, me too, but like, my brother in Christ, you are the head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You got a real job now. You got a real job, man.
You are a government official, dude. You can't be live tweeting. Like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Live tweeting is what my mom did when she used to watch Real Housewives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not what government officials are supposed to keep doing. You're supposed to take information in and then release it to the public when you have broader context. You're not supposed to be just piecemealing bits of information that prove your agenda.
And it's just like to post this 20 minutes after the shooting. That's after the shooting when detainees were shot, by the way. No ICE agents, but detainees. Like, come on, man.
Just like do your job and investigate.
Yeah.
Just investigate before posting something to the public that you know will be divisive. But I also recognize that the divisiveness is the point. They are pushing this out there quickly to sow division because this administration, the people in charge, do not care about the truth. They do not care about investigating, and they do not care about getting to the bottom of things, especially if getting to the bottom of something could possibly counter their narrative that the left are filled with extreme, violent, lunatic, Antifa communists that are going to do bad things all the time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about this instance is like the shooter is dead, so there's not going to be like a trial that happens, so they can just make claims.
They can just make claims.
They can just say things, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's absurd. And it's like they're just going to use this, and they're going to claim that saying ICE and the mass deportation effort is bad is tantamount to saying that we should... they're saying that if you say ICE is bad and don't like mass deportations, that's tantamount to just calling for political violence.
Yeah, that's the thing I've been seeing, and this is what Ted Cruz said, because he was at this press conference with like local authorities immediately after this happened. He was like, we need to tone down the rhetoric. The left's extreme rhetoric about ICE is what caused this. And it's like... all the left is doing is accurately describing what ICE has been doing on the ground and what they've been posting online. Not like ICE has been scooping up civilians and documented and undocumented immigrants and like putting them in detention facilities. ICE has been showing up as masked agents. We don't know who they are. ICE has been like roughing up just protesters who are outside of their facilities. None of this is an exaggeration. None of it is meant to like drum up violence against them. They're just saying like, hey, dog, this is fucked up. And like, what else? Are you just not allowed to say that?
Because they're also using this as an opportunity to go against like policy calls to say that ICE officers should not be able to wear masks and hide their identity, like what's happening in California. Gavin Newsom's trying to advance legislation or get legislation passed, or he's the governor. He's trying to get it law in his state that ICE officers can't wear masks. Yeah. Which, low key, it shouldn't be weird to say that government officials shouldn't be able to hide from the public. Yeah. That's not... cops have to identify themselves, name and badge number. They have to do that. That's policy. We accept that. You shouldn't be able to wield so much power in the state and not be held accountable. And that's not to say that I want ICE people to fucking track down ICE officers and dox them and go to their houses and protest. That, like, low-key suck. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it is to say that, like, you shouldn't be able to hide who you are. You shouldn't be unaccountable to the actions that you're committing. You shouldn't just be able to just be like a body in what's going on. You should have to show up as a human and show that you are human so other people can understand, like, this is bad. We shouldn't be allowing this.
Like the broader principle is that we don't like just trust the government to be benevolent.
Yes.
Right? Like we wouldn't trust, or we shouldn't trust any armed guard of the state to show up unidentified with a mask on and just trust that they'll do good things, because we know that the government likes to abuse its power and lie to us.
And when you can go around anonymous, you can get away with doing more cruel things. There's like a psychological thing there too. After the Charlie Kirk incident, people were having conversations about how being anonymous on the internet leads to people posting crazy shit. And it does. Being anonymous in real life leads people to think they can get away with shit they otherwise wouldn't be able to get away from. And that's what masking ICE officers is about.
Yeah.
Straight up, it's not about doxing them. It's not about tracking them down. It's about how you feel when you don't think you'll be held to account for actions you may commit.
I mean, ultimately, to me, it's just like, oh, you're being a little bit too mean to the Gestapo.
Like, come on.
Fucking whatever, man.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you're being a little bit too mean to Hitler's brown shirts. But whatever.
You call them the Gestapo. That's political violence.
I mean, like, you can't, like, make accurate comparisons. Exactly. You can't accurately describe what they're doing. Then I can't say anything about them.
Ultimately, what this is you can't criticize the government.
Yeah, words are violence, which is a thing we've been arguing against for years.
Anti-First Amendment. You know what I'm saying? But J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem were quick to hop on the opportunity to blame anti-ICE rhetoric. And I just got to say, like, it is not political violence to say that ICE racially profiling people and grabbing them off the streets is bad.
The Supreme Court just said they're allowed to.
The Supreme Court said they can, and that's bad, and we should be able to call that out. It is not violent to say it's bad when ICE holds a 5-year-old girl hostage to try and lure her father out so that they can arrest him. Yeah. It is not, in fact, it should be normal to say it is wrong and abhorrent for the human rights abuses that go on in ICE detention to be accepted by this administration, 510 of which are allegedly detailed in a probe John Ossoff's office did at the beginning of August, which included 14 alleged reports of mistreatment of pregnant women and 18 alleged reports of mistreatment of children in ICE custody. It is disgusting and cruel when the government, when government officials gleefully talk about a facility like Alligator Alcatraz, which was built with the intention of being as aesthetically brutal and functionally violent as they could get away with. That's not acceptable in a normal democracy. That's not acceptable in a normal political climate, and it shouldn't be controversial to call those things out. In fact, it is a core tenet of democracy that I can go out there and I can criticize these things, and you should criticize these things, and any suggestion that we're going to tamp down on that criticism is wrong.
It's just crazy coming from a party whose president said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country, that you can just look at them and tell if they're criminals. Like, they have been engaging in active dehumanizing rhetoric for years about immigrants on purpose to drum up hate against them. But suddenly when I talk about the actions of my government, I'm the one causing political violence?
Exactly.
Come on.
Pointing out that these things are wrong is not calling for political violence. It's calling for government accountability.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. You should be able to criticize the fucking government, guys. That's what the First Amendment is about.
And that obfuscates the fact that this shooting, of course, was not an instance of anti-ICE violence. Because they hit detainees.
Exactly. Like, no matter what the motive is, which we just don't know.
Which we don't know.
We don't know, and we can't speculate on it. It's irresponsible of government officials to get out there and speculate on, especially in this manner.
Yeah.
It didn't do what they're saying it wanted to do.
In fact, I read an article from Ken Klippenstein's Substack this morning. He reached out to some old friends of the shooter, apparently, and they said that he was essentially like a nihilist edgelord. Many such cases.
The Ken Klippenstein article paints the picture of this guy. Based on the shooter's friend's description, this guy is an irony-poisoned edgelord, lonely young man who has unpin-downable politics. Like, shocker.
Many such cases, dude.
Exactly. That's the case of all of these fucking shooters. Either they're like right-wing lunatics who write a white supremacist manifesto when they shoot up a grocery store in Buffalo, or they go and they're just kind of like a guy who's lonely and edgy and spends too much fucking time on the internet. I think that's like the broader problem here. His friends even went on to describe him as someone who was vaguely libertarian, who hates politicians and both parties, but didn't engage with politics beyond that. At one point, a friend said he was interested in Ron Paul.
Lock Ron Paul up, man. He's encouraging political violence.
Ron Paul clearly Ron Paul clearly invited this kind of violence to happen. Ron Paul, the anti-ICE guy.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, it's just like, I want a serious government, man. I'm begging for a serious government. I'm begging for an environment where people can engage with these things. Could the shooter have been motivated by hatred of what ICE is doing? It's totally possible. I'm not going to conspiracy post and like say it isn't. But could he also just have been like a lonely edgelord guy who wanted to take it out on people in a public manner? Yeah, that's possible.
It's just as likely that he hated ICE, that he also thought ICE wasn't going hard enough against immigrants.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
It's also just as likely that he just wanted to lash out and was somebody who was vaguely tapped in with politics and said, I'm going to do this. It's likely that this could have been a shit post.
Yeah, just like the Charlie Kirk assassination was.
We need time to look into these things and not just go out and push narratives that the left is violent and we need to crack down on them, right?
Also, it's like, because I am against political violence, I will condemn this shooting. But I'll also condemn ICE as an organization because it's built upon doing political violence to immigrants.
Of course, it's the Hamas thing.
Yeah.
Like, I condemn October 7th, and because I condemn what happened on October 7th, I certainly can condemn everything that's happened afterwards. And because I condemn the political violence that ICE is engaging in on immigrant communities, I can certainly condemn political violence that's against them as well.
Suddenly people think that political violence isn't actually political violence when it comes from an entity that we view as like legitimate. You know what I mean?
Political violence isn't just when somebody gets shot and killed.
Yeah.
Political violence is when this state does bad things, like violent things, when they violently drag out abuelas from their homes after pulling up Mob Deep with 25 ICE agents. That's political violence. It's just like sanctioned by political leaders.
Fucking Ramesa Ozturk wrote an op-ed and got deported.
Exactly.
Like, what are we talking about, dog?
Mahmoud Khalil was an activist for Palestine, and now they're doing they locked that guy up, and they're trying to deport him to what, Syria?
Yeah, they sent him to Louisiana. He had to miss the birth of his child.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't have time to be lectured about fucking political violence right now.
Exactly. I don't have time to be lectured about like the left's violent rhetoric either.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid, man. We just like, we cannot know more about this until more information comes out. But the people who are in charge have already poisoned the well. And whatever the motive may be, if we even find one, the underlying issue here is that it's a gun violence epidemic in this country, coupled with some problem that seems to be there with lonely young men that spend too much time on the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's always lonely young men that do things like that, and that's something that maybe shouldn't be ignored. That's probably a policy thing that we should address. That's probably a rhetoric thing that we should address. Why are young men who spend too much time on the internet becoming violent?
Yeah, young white men especially.
I think if we want to figure out what's going on with political violence, that's a much more interesting and salient avenue to go down than nonprofits are like paying agitators to go kill people.
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me, man? But we can't even begin to talk about that when we have an administration in charge that just doesn't care about truth or responding rationally to things. And while we're on the topic of responding rationally, I want to talk about Trump's Truth Social post.
Naturally.
Because this shit was just a banger. Obviously, this is about the shooting that happened at the ICE Detention Center. Quote, I have been briefed on the deadly shooting at the ICE field office in Dallas, Texas. It has now been revealed the deranged shooter wrote anti-ICE on his shell casings. This is despicable. The brave men and women at ICE are just trying to do their jobs and remove the worst of the worst criminals out of our country, demonizing immigrants in the middle of this thing, doing violent rhetoric, if I'm applying the same standard. But they are facing an unprecedented increase in threats, violence, and attacks by deranged radical leftists. This violence is the result of the radical left Democrats consistently demonizing law enforcement, calling for ICE to be demolished and comparing ICE officers to Nazis. The continuing violence from radical left terrorists in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination must be stopped. ICE officers and other brave members of law enforcement are under grave threat. We have already declared Antifa a terrorist organization, and I will be signing an executive order this week to dismantle these domestic terrorism networks. I'm calling on all Democrats to stop the rhetoric against ICE and American law enforcement right now. The Trump administration is fully committed to backing law enforcement, strong borders, securing our homeland, deporting violent illegal criminals, and fully rooting out the left-wing domestic terrorism that is terrorizing our country. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Obviously, the lines of note here are I will be signing an executive order this week to dismantle these domestic terrorism networks. Bro is talking about left-leaning nonprofits. Like that all week he's been talking about how nonprofits are doing blah blah blah, they're paying agitators, they're doing all these protests, they're stoking violence, and it's like nonprofits.
Yeah, they're out here tabling and signing up people to volunteer.
Exactly, like left-wing nonprofits.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they are seriously trying to use this political violence as an excuse to ramp up attacks against left-wing nonprofits who can barely get their mission done by the skin of their fucking teeth.
Yeah.
Because like that's the reality of the left-wing nonprofit sector is they're barely scraping by.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally like ludicrous. It is absurd on its face to think that these people, the people that run left-wing nonprofits, are going around and recruiting people to go do terror or inspiring people to do terror with their violent rhetoric.
Yeah, no, and it's the same reason that he labeled Antifa as a domestic terror organization when Antifa like isn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
Something we've been talking about for a long time. It's just so that they can have a pretext to stomp down on literally anything that they want, to crack down on literally any left-leaning behavior that they want. That's all it is.
And it's like, I'm just so stuck on this left-wing nonprofit thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously he's calling out, like, the Ford Foundation or the Open Society Fund or whatever George Soros' thing's called. But it's like the run-of-the-mill left-wing nonprofit can barely get its own shit together. And it's like, these organizations can barely agree on when, where, and how to do a protest. They're working together to do support for it. And you and me saw it this year in Michigan.
Yeah.
This summer in Michigan, there were protests that people were trying to get support for to like pop up in like Detroit, planned months in advance. And then other groups would have a protest on that same fucking day, hemorrhaging support for the other protests. And then those groups would get mad at each other.
Yep.
And there are so much petty fucking grievances between these nonprofits that just stop the movement from going anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Constantly poaching protests from each other, doing protests at the same spot, but like not the same goals, doing weird things. These people can barely get organized. And you think, you mean to tell me in the American public that these same nonprofits that can't agree on a fucking protest are going around and operating as the Democratic Party's terror arm?
Yeah.
That is just
Again, man,
a reality that no one is living in.
Yeah, they think the Democrats are out here organizing like the fucking IRA or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, they can't organize at all.
They can barely
actually.
organize themselves.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of the matter. And that's not to say that these nonprofits are bad by any means. Like a lot of them do good work.
The mission's good. The mission's good.
The mission's good, and it's hard. Like it's hard to get organized. It's hard to do a lot of this stuff, and a lot of what they do is necessary. It's more so like a critique of nonprofit work being hard work.
Yeah.
But that's kind of latent in the idea that like they're not getting together and doing anything en masse.
Yeah, but like even with the big ones, like all the money that George Soros puts behind nonprofits and stuff, it's like they just like donate to DAs, like district attorneys that are running, or they'll donate to like climate change efforts, or they'll donate to efforts like in some part of the global south or something like that. It's like people will say there's nefarious things about it. Maybe some of George Soros's money goes to like skeptical things that we could label as problematic, but it's like, That's like nothing.
And it's like the run-of-the-mill nonprofit is not that.
Yeah,
like,
no,
the
exactly.
run-of-the-mill nonprofit, like fucking Mop Up Michigan, is not like doing anything like that. These organizations are trying to get ballot petitions on the ballot or like fund independent journalism. That's what most of these places are doing. They're doing things adjacent to that. They are not contributing to a system of violent rhetoric that is going and inspiring a lone wolf shooter to do an act of political violence.
Yeah.
It's not what's happening, and I hope that regular people can like see that and understand that.
Yeah,
because this is patently absurd.
I mean, we can look at what happened a couple of weeks ago with Taylor Lorenz and the whole like chorus media group stuff like that. Like the left will go after itself.
We're eating ourselves.
Like Taylor Lorenz is somebody who is on the left, and she went after like a left liberal organization. Not really went after. She just reported on a left liberal organization that was like doing things that people considered to be shady. And what they were doing was just like paying people for video.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't like a terrorist plot, right? They weren't like planting bombs under bridges.
Exactly. And like the critique there from like people like us is that it was dark money. Like you don't know where that money's coming from, and you're being picked to push a message that you're already pushing. You're being endorsed by the party, toe the party line, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like the critiques are way more high level and granular.
Yeah. Shit that only people like us care about.
And it's like if you're talking about Taylor Lorenz too, there's the whole thing about fucking masking. The left can't even agree on if we should mask anymore or not. Mm-hmm. And you mean to tell me that they're organizing paid agitators all across the country?
Yeah.
It's so fucking ridiculous, man. Conservatives that believe this shit are not living in reality. Mm-hmm. They think like, I don't know, the left is Jason Bourne coming after them with like all the 3-letter agencies behind them.
Yeah.
But no, the guy that runs our 3-letter agencies was a podcaster.
Yeah, no, like the right-wing nonprofit space is way more insidious, dude.
Exactly.
The way that they spend money, the way that they use their like volunteer forces, that shit needs to be investigated.
They got wicked oil money.
Yeah.
They got wicked oil money and like the same people that are funding everything.
Yeah, I'm not even making like legal accusations.
Yeah.
I just think what they do is bad.
Yeah, something important to note in this climate, I guess.
Yeah.
God damn, man. It just, everything sucks, man.
Everything sucks. I guess that's this week's instance of political violence.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen next time.
I wonder if we could...
Hopefully nothing.
You think we could use like one of those betting apps to bet on what the next act of political violence would be?
Get call sheet?
Yeah, yeah.
And figure out what's happening next.
Get Bet MGM and see what we could get a parlay going.
Bet on the motives of the next terrorist.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Kash Patel's doing at the field office.
No, I would not be surprised whatsoever. You know what one of my favorite activities is?
What?
Reading.
Oh, I love reading. I love literature.
And one of my favorite things to read are the reviews we get on Apple Podcasts.
Always.
Not only do I love to read them, but it's a really great way to support the show. If you want to help us out, go and leave a 5-star review on Apple. As always, we read them here on the show. And if you want to make me happy, if you want to become my non-parasocial friend,
that's right.
One step on the 1,000 steps that it takes to get there is to leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'd really appreciate it.
Just remember, my friendship, it's for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to become one of my friends, you can go to the Patreon, or completely for free, you can leave a review on Apple. And even if you don't want to become my friend, don't you want to see another human smile?
Exactly. So consider leaving a review on Apple. It really helps out the show. It's a free way to do it. And you'll be one step closer to being a real friend of ours.
Exactly. Now with that, back to the episode.
So a couple of news stories just to end off here. The first one is Tylenol and autism. What is there to say?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about this thing, man. Like I said up top, this would have been its own, like most of the episode back in Hito Era 1, but everything's just so crazy now that it's like Tylenol doesn't cause autism.
No, of course not.
The studies that they're citing aren't conclusive and are observational.
Yeah.
No serious scientist would ever say that. And it's like, they're not even like doing much to like push this.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of felt like a press conference to go out there and appease RFK Jr. and like the Maha crowd, because all Trump said was like, oh, we're going to direct doctors to like not recommend this anymore, like unless you need it.
Yeah, the one thing that got me about the press conference, other than it being like fueling the autism vaccine sort of weird conspiracy, the Maha crowd, was like Trump's inability to speak like at all.
See, it's a hard word.
At one point, he was talking about like stop taking it. He said, "Nothing bad can happen, and it can only good happen." I just like what's happening? Is he having a stroke again or something? Like what's happening?
No, that's real.
He sounds insane.
But it's just like the statement that like, yeah, we're telling the FDA to only recommend it when it's necessary. Yeah. Yes, brother. They just went out there to say that Tylenol causes autism. I don't know what this whole like autism focus is. I don't know where that shit even came from, but I guess it had to have come from the anti-vaxxer crowd. But the fact that it's landed on Tylenol is just, what the fuck are we doing, man?
Yeah, no, I think it's like there's something deeper there about like the fascist unwillingness to accept nonconformity, right? Like the idea that people can just like be like that and it not be like a moral thing for them. Of course, it gets wrapped up in a bunch of different conversations of like people that are severely on the autism spectrum, like really do have a hard time, and we should look for ways to make their lives easier. But it's never like about making their lives easier for them. It's about like getting rid of autism. And it's just it's a very complicated conversation. None of the nuances are highlighted in just banning Tylenol, though, in the way that they are trying to do, or telling people to not take Tylenol while pregnant.
Just like there are so many. Frankly, there are so many people that just like believe him.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Twitter was insane after this news popped off. People being like, yeah, I fucking knew it. No, you fuck you didn't.
No, you didn't. And they don't know it either.
No, the fuck you didn't. Nobody knows it, in fact, because it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, doing this. And then it's just man, the state of everything right now is just so awful, especially with RFK.
Yeah. Yeah. And like fundamentally, the Tylenol announcement was just Trump like blaming women for autism.
Yeah.
And then he was like, if you get a fever during pregnancy, just tough it out.
Yeah, just make the baby hot.
Like, that's just a bad idea.
Boil the baby if you get a fever during pregnancy. Don't do anything unless your doctor tells you to, which is what was already going to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
This was functionally, this was a non-announcement policy-wise, this was like a non-announcement. But functionally, all this was to just push culture war. They just did this to push culture war and tell people that they're doing something about autism. And honestly, I think it's just to look like they're combating Big Pharma.
Yeah. Yeah.
By not doing anything to comment the bad things about Big Pharma, the Sacklers, and the profit motive.
Yeah, the other bit of silly, goofy Trump news was him at the UN. Just he says some shit like, all your countries are going to hell. I'm great at doing this. America's the hottest country ever. Cool, dude. Whatever. Cool, dude.
Yeah, no, it's just like, it doesn't even feel newsworthy to me
No,
anymore.
it doesn't.
And then there were like malfunctions that people were... The funniest part about all that stuff was conservatives making a big stink about like the teleprompter not being right or the escalator stopping when he was going to go up it.
Yeah, the teleprompter thing is especially funny because it's like they got it working after him.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, your team just sucks then.
Your team fucked up.
And the other thing gets me, I don't know about the bureaucracy behind the UN, but it's like, that's a building in New York. Isn't it up to us to make sure that shit's working? Like, isn't that on Americans to like, I mean, I'm sure there's like staff from all over the world that work at the UN building.
I think they're launching an investigation into like what happened. And it's just like, I have never seen the government waste so many resources. Whether it's the mass deportation thing, which is like, one, bad and immoral, and I don't like it, first principles, but also like way more money than it needed to be. And two, there's like this, like the FBI is not doing crimes right now. They're redacting your name from the Epstein files and they're investigating the UN building that's in your own country.
Yeah.
Like that's
and they're writing on bullets.
Allegedly.
It's like just like imagine Biden sued Boeing every time he tripped going up the stairs to Air Force One. Like we would have doubled the national debt. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a gross misuse of resources. It's crazy. And then the last bit of news that we got to talk about here is a state story.
Yeah, this one hits close to home.
This one's important.
This is a friend of the show.
Ryan Walters, the guy who tried to put Bibles in the classroom, the guy who tried to make, or the guy who did make teachers air a video of him praying for Trump after Trump got shot. Ryan Walters, superintendent of Oklahoma, is now the former superintendent because he has resigned from the position.
I personally think he got sick of glazing Trump so hard and not getting literally anything in return.
Yeah.
That he finally decided he'd just accept a bag working for a nonprofit.
10 sets of bouncing on it for nothing, dude. 10 sets of bouncing on it for nothing. And the thing that gets me is that, he's leaving to work for a nonprofit called the Teacher Freedom Alliance. And this is what he said when he resigned. Quote, "We are going to destroy the teachers' unions." That's his mission.
Dude, he sucks so bad, man. He's like the worst person. He'll just do whatever and say whatever, no matter what, for whoever will give him money.
He said further on Fox, quote, "We have seen the teachers' unions use money and power to corrupt our schools, to undermine our schools. We are one of the biggest grassroots organizations in the country. We will build an army of teachers to defeat the teachers' unions once and for all." He's just building an army of scabs.
Literally, I promise you the teachers' unions are not the reason why Oklahoma is 50th in education right now. It's probably you as the superintendent.
Because you've just turned all the schools into churches.
Seriously, I gotta wonder how much they're paying him to resign and leave his position, and I gotta wonder how scorned he feels by the Trump administration.
Yeah, and well, I mean, this is definitely it's like we've been saying with somebody like Tucker Carlson, right? Like everybody always theorizes that he might run for president.
Yeah.
No. if I was Tucker Carlson, if I had like the media chops that Tucker Carlson has with like how he can create a show and everyone will be there to watch him, I'm not doing anything except yapping into a microphone on camera.
Literally. Why would you want to engage in the messy business of politics
and get
have to
paid
be,
less,
like, held accountable, and be more stressed out when you could sit in a fake wood shop like he did that one time,
exactly,
completely clean wood shop, and talking to a microphone?
It's why Joe Manchin immediately went into lobbying after he resigned, because you make infinitely more money and you have none of the responsibility. You can just go around and say things and get a check, and that's preferable to having to actually work.
Well, for a lot of people, their career in government is just like an on-ramp so they can go do something more lucrative afterwards.
Yeah. Fully self-interested. I mean, it seems like that's what Ryan Walters is doing here. So fucking shout out. It's good that he's going away. I don't know if it's going to mean somebody better replaces him, but
I gotta say yes. I gotta say somebody better to replace him just because he was the worst.
He's just gonna go and be like a banal evil force in Oklahoma rather than like the evil force in Oklahoma.
Like it's rare that you find somebody that was like the worst that they could be, that the worst that a thing could be in a given position.
In every way.
But I think he was that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's run through the hits real quick. The prayer that he made every school in Oklahoma air of him praying for Trump, making schools buy Trump Bibles.
No more woke Santa.
No more woke Santa. Porn at the school board meeting.
Porn at the school board meeting.
Oh my God, this guy was dropping banger after banger after banger after banger. And he was doing crazy shit after the Charlie Kirk thing too for the last 2 weeks. And I think he's just upset he didn't get recognition for what he was doing for that.
He announced a partnership with the Oklahoma Department of Education and Turning Point.
He said that there had to be a Turning Point USA chapter in every like high school in the country, and if there wasn't, they'd be investigated.
Man,
like what?
Could you imagine if a Democrat's like, we're gonna have a gay straight alliance in every high school?
We are gonna have a George Soros club in every high school. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? The Open Society Foundation is going to have a chapter at every single high school. I think conservatives would burn a high school down.
Exactly,
and they would be right for that. Like, that's an insane thing to do, man.
Yeah, so rest in peace, Ryan Walters. He's just gonna go become like a background enemy. Maybe he'll come back at some point.
I will miss him. I will miss talking about him and getting the occasional Ryan Walters news. He was also leading that charge. Oh God, another thing on his highlight reel to have a test for teachers that were coming from California, the anti-woke test. Oh my God, man, he was so good.
Man, he was throwing up all these bangers for nothing.
I know.
Getting absolutely nothing in return.
Like, I wonder what broke him. Like, I wonder what finally made him step down. Was it the bag from whatever place is going to pay him to do this? Or was he just so sick of not getting thrown anything from Trump?
I don't know.
Because Trump never talked about this guy.
Yeah, because he did seem dedicated to like ruining the state.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe this nonprofit came along and said, "Hey, we'll 1,000x your salary if you come and work for." But like, what do they really want him that bad? You know what I mean?
Like, why? Like he wasn't even like a good messenger.
No,
I don't. It's Oklahoma. I can't speak on Oklahoma politics. Maybe things are just broken down there. But like, was what he was doing like appealing to people?
I don't know, man. He's fucking. I don't even think Kevin Stitt liked him, the governor.
I don't know how you could. Honestly, it felt like he was undermining the movement.
He's secretly a leftist sleeper cell.
Exactly. Like, he was going so crazy.
He's doing acceleration.
He was just making all of them look fundamentally absurd.
Yeah.
Eventually, he would get conservatives to arrive at the idea that education maybe should be like more independent, or that we shouldn't be doing. He was trying to get conservatives to arrive from first principles, the idea that conservatives just want to do their own version of indoctrination by pushing conservative indoctrination in such an obvious and explicit way.
Yeah, he got enough Oklahomans to go, shit, maybe a secular education is better than whatever the fuck this guy is doing. I don't know. I'm doubtful, though. I don't know if I trust the Oklahoma electorate.
I don't either. They put him in place.
He probably would have won again if he could run again. I don't know, man, but he's gone.
Did he ever win re-election? Or was he like a one-term guy?
I have no idea. I feel like he came around in like 2022, right?
That's
when we started talking about him.
That's true.
But I don't know. But rest in peace, Ryan Walters. Shout out to Oklahoma for Liberation Day.
I might have to just start saying crazy shit to try and get a nonprofit to hire me to like be a director of policy.
Yeah, if I can just get like $400,000 thrown at me. Just to do dumb shit, just to break the backs of the teachers union. Shout out Tim Scott.
Exactly.
Shout out Tim Scott. My girlfriend goes to, you wouldn't know her, she goes to another school. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this rambunctious episode. If you're looking forward to the Kamala book review, then leave a comment and say, I'm looking forward to the Kamala book review.
Yeah, that's how we'll know you listened to the entire episode. And without further ado, we got to give a thanks to the wonderful people that put us in a position to where we can read the Kamala book. Because I would not be reading this on my own.
No. We're not reading this for free. First of all, obviously it's going to be locked behind a paywall for a few days for the patrons. And then, of course, we purchased the book, but that will be a tax write-off, meaning the public paid for the book.
I will be 100% writing off the book and the little sticky notes I bought to put on there on our taxes in February.
That means the public paid for that episode that we're about to watch. So thank the taxpayer.
Exactly. Shouts out you guys.
Yeah. This episode, next episode, the review brought to you by the public taxpayer.
Of course, the money to get the book in the first place was supplied by these people I'm about to read off, but also the loss in tax revenue will also be supplied by these people that I'm about to read off. So special extra thanks to all of you guys, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Japlinski, Clayton LaFed, Mac Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Routers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Big Burrito, Cincy Oaks, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cut, Jennifer DeVoe, Crawfish and Bennett Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Melody, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cocker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica aka V, Raxon, Ash Smith the Grottler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Ghana, Guana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Anna Valenic, KCC, Say Yes to West, August Particular, Pickman, Sir Capelot, Jeff Sines, Brenda's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000,
Chris T, Kashan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addy Book, Merlin, Cryo Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Madra What, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rock Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't
do it without you.
Exactly. Heavy on that.
I would not have any of these beliefs without you guys. I'm paid for.
Yeah, no, I'm bought and paid for. Everything I do is because I'm getting paid for it.
Much like Ryan Walters, I'm bought and paid for. I honestly maybe not switch up for money because he didn't switch up. He just went further into his value. So if you want me to lean in harder, you know what to do.
I can be bought.
Next Patreon goal, even further left rhetoric.
That's right. Thanks for listening.
Have a great weekend.